Look, nobody should be worried about losing a roof over their head right now, particularly given the circumstances around social distancing, but also the associated economic consequences of the pandemic event that the entire world is confronting. So we need to provide certainty to people who lose their homes or their businesses, and we need to help tenants and landlords find some common ground. That's why we're going to extend on evictions and rental increases, the ban on evictions and rental increases until the end of the year. Under the extensions, evictions will continue to be banned for residential and commercial tenants until December the 31st, unless in rare and specific circumstances. Rental hikes continue to be banned until the end of the year also. Everyone in these difficult times needs to pull together. It's about making sure that we strike the right balance and that we also ensure that those who depend upon tenancy arrangements for their shelter, their homes, are provided with adequate safeguards. It's also about making sure that we strike the right balance and we provide support and assistance to landlords who do the right thing by their tenants. So those rental hikes, which will continue to be banned until the end of the year, everyone, as I've said, needs to pull together. In the last 4 months, what we've seen is close to 26,000 agreements for reduced rent have been registered with Consumer Affairs Victoria. The Small Business Victoria Commission or Victorian Small Business Commissions also helped something like 8,000 rent-related inquiries. Most of those have been help that has been brokered to find common ground between tenants and landlords, and that's the way that the system should work. It's about providing facilitative capacities wherever that is possible, recognising that, of course, the material circumstances of landlords and tenants vary considerably across the spectrum, across the arrangements that they've struck, and therefore there's no capacity really to have a one-size-fits-all approach, but there are things that the government can do to help people reach agreement and ultimately to provide some support for the agreements that they do strike. We're also introducing some additional measures with the commercial landlords required to provide rent relief in proportion with falls in turnover. So up until now, that proportionality principle has been aspired to, but we will now make it a very clear and express intention that if you're identifying a downturn in your capacity, your turnover, then you should have an expectation that that is similarly reflected in terms of the rent relief that you get. Residential and commercial landlords will be able to take more advantage of more support, including, for example, further land tax reductions and more grant funding. The government's also going to extend the land tax relief available and make it easier to access. Landlords that provide outright rent waivers of at least 50% of rent payable for at least 3 months will be eligible for an additional 25% land tax relief. A $60 million fund additionally will be established for eligible small commercial landlords, and that will provide up to $3,000 per tenancy. And we're encouraging banks, of course, to continue to do the right thing by their customers to ensure that everybody gets the best opportunity to make it through to the other side of this event. Additionally, we are going to invest some $600,000 in a package to support advocacy groups such as VCOS, Tenants Victoria and others to support vulnerable tenants so that they understand their rights and to assist them in the mediation processes. So to get through this together, all of us, tenants, landlords, businesses, governments, banks, we need to work together. And certainly these arrangements, which seek to strike that right balance, are aimed at ensuring that where the right thing is done by a landlord for a tenant, where they comply with the eligible criteria, then they too can expect that the state will provide them with relief as well. Thanks, Premier.